Here are some key terms. Individuals. Individuals are the objects of a data. These individuals may be people, animals, or things. Another key term would be variables. These are the characteristics of an individual. Example would be hair, gender, or age. An example of using both variable and individuals is there is a university full of students. The student would be considered the individuals, and some variables of these individuals would be age, gender, major choice, and their grade point average. Here are some more key terms: categorical variables and quantitative variables. A categorical variable, this places the individuals in one of several categories, whereas quantitative variables, these are the numerical values of an individual that can be placed into groups. Here are some examples of categorical and quantitative variables. Gender, male or female, age, years, ethnicity, black, white, Asian, or other, smoker, yes or no, level of calcium in the blood, micrograms per milliliters. Gender would be considered categorical, so would ethnicity and smoker, whereas quantitative would be age or level of calcium in blood. Here are some key terms. The spread, this is giving the smallest to largest values. Outliers, this occurs when there is a point that do not correspond to the rest of the graph and are essentially considered outsiders. Skewed, this occurs when there's a big graph that begins to get smaller and smaller. A right skew is when there's a big graph and it is leading to the right and left, to the right, and the left is the same but from the opposite side. Center, this is the small middle point of the graph that is exactly between the smaller and greater values. Symmetric, this occurs when a histogram looks exactly the same on both sides. Well, here's some data to help construct a bar graph. If you're going to make a bar graph, you first name the y-axis, hours studied per week, and the x-axis, which is classes. And here is the data. And here is how to make a bar graph. Here's hours per week, which is the y-axis, and the classes. And here's one. Well, here's a bar graph with the data that I put on. Freshmen study 2 hours, sophomores 3, juniors 5, and seniors 10. Now, the next thing is to construct a bar graph, which is usually better to help construct with percentage. So, seniors study 50% of the data, freshmen 10, sophomores 15, and juniors 25%. Here's a dot plot graph. Goals scored, 1 through 5, number of goals. You can see that 5 is the biggest number and 0 is the smallest number. So now we're going to label and place them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 5. So you go over here and you put 1, 2, 3, and you cross these out. And you continue with all of them, and you will be done. After you're done with the dot plot, it should look like this. This is how to make a dot plot now graph. We're going to construct a stem plot graph. This is the data we're going to use, and I've made a stem, which is the green, and the digits in front of it. So now we're gonna place the digits according to the number from lowest to highest. That's how you construct. With all the data given, this is what a completed stem plot should look like. Here are some data that I recorded. Class is supposed to be president, and these are the ages and how many were in office. This is number of presidents, ages they got in. This is how to construct a histogram. It's almost the same thing as a bar graph, but a little bit more different.
Okay, now we're going to talk about how you would describe a distribution with numbers instead of pictures such as the density curve or the probability distribution, which will come later. There are two ways for you to measure a center because there's a center that's the mean and the median. First, we'll talk about the mean. To find the mean, you add up all the digits and divide them by how many there are. There's a symbol for this. It looks like an E. It's a Greek sigma, meaning summation, which is seen like this. Probably not as ugly. Now, for us to find the mean, all you have to do is add up all the numbers and divide the total by how many numbers there are. So when you add 1, 3, 5, 6, and 10, you get 25. You divide it by the 5 digits that there are. And the average of this set of numbers turns out to be 5. Now next we have another, which is the median way of doing this, which is when you find the midpoint of a set of distributions. There's 3 steps to finding this. You arrange all the numbers in order of size, from smallest to largest. If the number is odd, the median of the center is the one on the ordered list. What does this exactly mean in human terms? So for example, 1, 3, 7, 13, and 17. There's 5 different numbers. The one in the middle directly is 7. And in this case, that's our median. Now, another thing. If the number of the observations is even, the median is the mean of the 2 center observations in the ordered list. Now, what does that mean? If same set of numbers, 1, 3, 7, 13, 17, and let's say add in 21. Well, now we have 2 numbers that are kind of tied in the middle. Now, this one adds up to 20, and if you divide by 2, you get 10, and that will be the median for that one. Now, some examples. In here we have a lot of numbers that essentially work up to be even. The 2 numbers in between are 7 and 7, which add up to 14. You divide them by those 2 digits, you get the equal median of 7. And for the next one, we have the odd numbers. So they're odd, not the same. And there's 5 in between. The number directly in the middle, is 5. And there you go. That is how you would find the mean and the median. Now next, we go on to measuring the spread, which is right here. The spread is essentially how far it is. For this, we can use the quartiles, which is the 25th and 75th percentile. You can find it in 3 simple steps. You arrange the observations in increasing order, same as you would do with the median. Now, the first quartile is right in between the first half. Now, the third quartile is right in between the second half. And this goes on such as this. Let's say this is your line of numbers. This is your median. First quartile, second quartile. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit. Next, we have the 5-number summary. Why is this important? This will explain everything that we're supposed to learn about right here. Now, how would we find it? That is to come in a bit. Remember, the 5 components are right here. Q1, first quartile. Q2, well, you're not going to call it Q2. You'll be calling it median, is the 50th percentile. Q3 is the 75th percentile, or the third quartile. Interquartile is when you subtract Q3 with Q1. These give you kind of a range of exactly how much is logical or illogical. Now, the lower fence is essentially the line that you're going to use to find any outliers. Basically, numbers that don't